Hi, you're listening to Resonance 104.4 FM, London's volunteer staff community arts radio station. I'm Stewart Lee. This is Single Parent One Way Family Favourites. I've got guests today. Graham Linehan, the Father Ted co-writer, is on in the first hour, and in the second hour, Matt Lucas and David Walliams from TV's Little Britain. And London. In London this week, the streets are awash with Union Jacks in celebration of England's Rugby Cup victory. The cross of St George is everywhere. But let's not forget, in this moment of national hysteria, that even though the team did well, all people that play or like rugby are scum. So, it's Christmas this week. This is my nearest show to Christmas. So I thought, in a revolutionary broadcasting step, we'd play some Christmas-themed records. Here's the first one.
Red and clouded stormy now.
That was The Young Tradition, featuring Shirley and Dolly Collins. That was actually recorded in 1969, that album, but the tapes went missing, and it only came out in 1995 on the fledgling label. And that was the Boar's Head Carol. Here's a bit of information about it. It's a carol that's been sung at Queen's College, Oxford, with a boar's head in procession for around 500 years. Legend has it that back then a student ambling through the surrounding forest was attacked by a wild boar. He overcame it by ramming a volume of Aristotle down its throat. That's a real Oxbridge way of killing an animal. And the beast became a celebratory dinner. The carol was first published in 1521. Wild boar, of course, is now extinct in England, so don't run around looking for a kind of festive boar. And that was Shirley Collins. One of the best things that happened to me this year was being able to interview Shirley Collins for the Sunday Times, it was an absolute joy to meet her. And she did an 8-hour special on Resonance in this studio about 12 months ago. And before that was the Falls Christmas single, which is a version of Protein Protection from their new album, re-entitled We Wish You a Protein Christmas, with some cumbersome and inappropriate references to Christmas inserted into it in order to fleece fans. And it's great. And if you were lucky enough to see them last weekend or on their tour, if you're not in London, obviously you should live in London, but if you listen to this somewhere else, maybe you saw them in your town, perhaps York, or maybe Leeds. It was fantastic, back on form, but we always say that every year. Anyway, later on in the show, here on Resonance 104.4 FM, I've got Father Ted co-writer Graham Linehan coming in. He'll be speaking about some aspects of his life and work, I expect. And then in the second hour, Matt Lucas and David Walliams from Little Britain. Maybe they won't come. I don't know. They said they would. So it's Christmas themed today. I know that's a great idea. Because Christmas is coming and broadcasting is about reflecting public tastes and anxieties. Now, this show normally goes out live on Sunday, but today I'm pre-recording it on Wednesday morning because I've got to go and visit my girlfriend's dad in Chester at the weekend. So you're probably 4 days more excited about Christmas than we are here in the studio, so this probably won't work. But anyway, onwards with the Christmas theme. This is the Aggravators Santa Claus dub. That's Lowell Coxhill, Phil Minton and Nora Ed from perhaps the only free jazz novelty Christmas single currently available. I think that was out a couple of years ago on the Rectangle label, and that was a version of the Christmas song. And before that, a little snatch of Ben Vautier from his 1989 Fluxus, Some Ideas for Fluxus manifesto. And before that, the Aggravators, Santa Claus dub. The Aggravators actually... this is true, tried to get the word aggro into their name so that they would appeal to the skinheads in the early 70s who comprised the main market for reggae outside Jamaica. Well, those guests not arrived yet, but you know, we're all out of sync, but it doesn't matter. The Christmas fun need never stop. This is Low from their concept album about Christmas called Christmas, Little Drummer Boy.
Shepherd's Queen.
That was Low, a couple of bits from their Christmas album, which is called Christmas. The first one, Little Drummer Boy, and after that, Silent Night. And in between that, from Pinky and Perky's Christmas album, a version of Silent Night. Pinky and Perky are two puppet pigs, and as such, fulfill resonance's remit to unusual music sources. So we're joined by Graham Linehan, the comedy writer and man. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
All right, thanks for coming in early on a Wednesday, which isn't Sunday when this is going out.
Yeah.
You can try and think that you're in a Sunday lunchtime mood, though.
Yeah, I've got that Sunday feeling.
Have you already? Were you out last night?
I usually get my Sunday feeling 3 days in advance, 3 or 4 days in advance.
To get it out of the way. Yeah. Well, you had a late night last night?
Yeah, we,
You don't have to tell us what it was.
No, well, my sister's over for,
she's there, look.
Yeah, she's sitting right there without a mic, so she doesn't exist in radio terms.
Okay.
But she's just over for a few days, so we're having a nice time.
Alright. What are you working on at the moment then, anything?
Well, yeah, I'm working on a couple of things. I'm working on a adaptation of a book by Stewart David, who you might know, who's in Looper.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Which one?
The Peacock Manifesto.
That was his first novel.
Yeah.
Right.
So, actually, I think it was his second.
Oh, right. There's two knocking around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm doing that, and I'm writing something with Arthur for the first time in a long time.
What's that going to be?
It's, I should explain to people who don't know that Arthur was my writing partner.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Ted together. But it's going to be a comedy about some DJs who agreed to do a parachute jump for charity, and then it's set on the day of the jump, and they all get out of it in various different ways. So it's a kind of black comedy about
parachuting DJs.
Parachuting DJs, yeah. I thought last night maybe they should be naked, because that's the kind of thing they do, isn't it? The naked parachuting and all that.
Do they still do that, or is that kind of...
I think so.
Right.
I think so. I saw... you'd imagine I just realised it'd be freezing.
Parachuting naked.
Yeah, it'd be really, really cold.
Yeah, I mean, you can use that idea in it, maybe.
What's the more stupid thing, jumping out of a plane or being naked jumping out of a plane? The cold or the fall?
They're both... it would exacerbate the problems being naked.
Yeah, absolutely. Dangling would be a real problem.
Yeah.
But,
You
anyway.
could introduce a kind of murder subplot to it as well, couldn't you?
Now we could, yeah.
One of the DJs goes missing, maybe.
That's right. But remember the guy who got killed jumping out of a plane, put on, it was sabotage, because they found out that the way the parachute didn't open, it could only have been sabotage.
Right.
So it was, and there's those very creepy pictures of a guy giving a thumbs up in the paper, and it says, I forget the victim's name, but they said, whatever, let's say it was Paul Stevens. They said Paul Stevens, 5 minutes before his death. You know what I mean? Giving a thumbs up just before he goes out. It's terrifying.
So one of those people sabotaged the parachute.
Yeah, someone in the parachute school or whatever it was.
If you're going to be jumping out of a plane, you want to be able to trust the people you're with.
Yeah, absolutely. You wouldn't go up with some guy who's all in black and is kind of looking around shiftily.
No, who you don't know, who's new to the team.
Yeah.
In the film, that would presumably you'd have a little scene before the credits where someone was interfering with a parachute or something.
Oh, well, that's not what happens in our film, so...
No.
Oh, in a film about it, yes.
If you wanted to do that.
Yeah, you would.
You'd
see his feet walking along for ages, and then a pair of hands going like that, with the scissors.
Because, of course, you direct stuff now as well.
Yeah, I direct stuff, but only because I don't like handing over control to people, because, it's very rude when we were doing Father Ted and stuff, on the first 2 series, our director, who's a lovely guy, called Declan Lowney, and a really great director, I would just be tipping him on the shoulder at every single shot. Could it not be, I think we should shoot this, and we just drove him crazy. So I didn't want to be rude anymore, so I decided to direct. And I don't really enjoy directing, to be honest. So
you're directing out of politeness?
Yes, absolutely. It's like the same way I do everything. The same reason I do everything. Out of a misplaced politeness that nobody expects.
Not a burning desire to direct.
No passion or anything.
I directed so as not to cause offence.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, great.
Exactly.
You brought in. I said bring in some stuff, and you have. What's the first book? Yeah.
Well, you're putting on Tycho.
Oh yeah, I am. Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I'm not sure I know how to pronounce this. They're the Tycho Brahe.
Tychobrahe.
Yeah, or the Tycho Brahe or something. A good example of a band hampering themselves with a name. You know, first of all, you don't even know how to pronounce. But there's a kind of there's some interesting stuff coming out of Ireland at the moment. Usually, I wouldn't promote Irish music because, you know, I always hate when people do that.
But hang on, you are Irish.
Yes, but you know what I mean? It's like people come, you know, it's such a ridiculous thing to only like music that comes from the area where you were born. But
you do, don't you?
There's just some new stuff, like David Kitt and this band, and there's a good few others are just doing very interesting stuff, and I know you're gonna dig this.
Okay, this is from the album. This is the Tycho Brahe or Brahe, and this is called Half Mast. That's the Tycho Brahe or Brahe, Tychobrahe.
It's terrible. I mean, why would you hamper yourself with?
Well, there's a band out now from New York, and their name's 3 exclamation marks, and you're supposed to pronounce it or something. And what they don't realise is there was an Australian band in the 70s who did exactly the same thing.
Oh, really?
You were supposed to pronounce them like that, and the Australian ones, the American ones, click like, and the Australian ones. So not only is it a pointless thing to call yourself, it's also been done before anyway.
Yeah. We
Idiots.
We saw Arthur and I saw a poster for a band, Bum Gravy. Do you remember there was a band called Bum Gravy? Arthur said, trying to crack the American market there.
You remember Tony Allen, the godfather of alternative comedy?
Yeah.
He did a show about 10 years ago, which was called Sold Out. And it was advertised around London with posters of his face, Tony Allen, with Sold Out written across it.
That's right. Like the band who called themselves Free Beer. Did you know that?
No,
there was a band called Free Beer. Then all the posters said Free Beer. People used to go to the gigs thinking it might be free beer.
And then they were disappointed. You can't make promises that you can't fulfil.
I got another funny poster story. There was a band in Dublin called Death Metal Bitch, who were I think a comedy band, you know, but still they had these great posters that just said Death Metal Bitch and Friends. Anyway, sorry.
Where are they from then?
I think they're from Dublin.
Right.
And they there's another band called the Jimmy Cake. I'm not sure if you've heard of them.
I've not heard of them.
Oh, I should have brought one of theirs in. But, they're just very interesting, kind of, unusual structured songs, and, you know, there's something good going on at the moment.
Yeah, no, there's lots of scratchy little ones as well. Joan of Arc, do you know them?
Yes, yeah. Another terrible name, but, you know, actually, no, it's quite a funny name. I quite like that.
I did a stand-up gig in Dublin about 5 years ago, and the man doing the sound was the former drummer of the Stars of Something Happens.
Oh, yeah.
Who went in the Revenants with the old Stars of Heaven bloke.
Right, yeah. And you know what?
No.
Stars of Heaven, a friend of mine was going for a taxi, and he went in and he was sitting in those horrible little taxi areas, and the guitarist from Stars of Heaven was sitting behind a desk in front of a microphone calling cabs.
They were great, the Stars of Heaven.
They were brilliant, yeah. You know, it's a whole, you know, it's a whole theme, I think, or whole subject is what happens to these people, you know, what happens to bands. I got the Spike Jones DVD,
right,
and there's a documentary about Fat Lip from the Far Side,
right,
and it's just brilliant. It's fascinating, and it's really melancholy. And at one point he said, "I'm nearly at the stage where I'm holding up a sign saying we'll rap for food," you know, and it's just really devastating, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, again, I'm rambling on.
Well, no, that's right. That's the idea of the the light-hearted chat program that this is.
Absolutely.
Is that, you know, you've nothing to promote, you've no axe to grind. If you want to talk about how the guitarist of the Stars of Heaven now works in a minicab office, that is as good as this gets. I had the European female pinball champion on a few months ago, who talked about specifics.
I bet
of
her
different pinball
autobiography
machines.
is going to be called Tilt! Exclamation mark.
Wasn't it? So, you know, doesn't matter. You know, what always happens at is your will the Father Ted Christmas show be on this Christmas?
Oh, possibly. If not in England, then in Ireland.
It's not. It's becoming that Christmas isn't Christmas without.
Yeah, you know what?
A repeat of the Father Ted Christmas show that you co-wrote.
Well, it's my least favourite episode. I hate it. Yeah. In fact, the thing I'm proudest of with the Christmas episode is my commentary on the DVD, where I end up shouting at the screen because I'm so annoyed with it that it won't end. It's one of these things that has about 4 endings. None of them work. And it goes on and on and on. The first half has nothing to do with the second half, and it just it drives me crazy. And you see, when we wrote it, we thought, wow, we'll do a Christmas episode. It'll keep Ted's name about and stuff, and we won't have to write a series. It'll be easier than writing a series, but it wasn't easier. It was much more difficult, because once you get over half an hour, it's like writing a film.
Yeah,
and you have to use some of and we didn't really know how to write a film at that stage. Still don't really.
And you're on the DVD commentary saying that.
Yeah,
that's great.
I really enjoyed it.
The comedian Daniel Kitson was on the other week, and he was in Peter Kay's Phoenix Nights, and he fell out with them during it. And he says on the DVD commentary they're all slagging him off, saying that he's ungrateful and mean.
Oh, for God's sake!
I think that's hilarious. That's sort of just,
you know what? I bet you there's lots of these things on DVD commentary.
There's not much to say.
No one listens to them, you know, so you never find out all this gossip, you know. But there's another bit on the one where Ardle came in and did a bit of commentary with me, and he said something like there were too many voices competing for attention on the first series with all the people behind the camera who had opinions, you know. And I said, oh right, yeah. And then we talked about something else, and then I said, I'm a little bit hurt that he said that about the voices behind the cameras, and we had it out on there, and I love that. I love things like that. Surely that's the only reason to get commentaries, you know.
Yeah, but they're not. I mean, they're not commentaries a lot. They're just people talking while they watch a film. Yeah, which is good.
Yeah, no, I quite like that. It's like watching. I mean, I enjoyed the Seinfeld comedian commentary. Where it's like, do you know Comedian?
No, I haven't seen it. No,
it's brilliant.
Yeah, well, I didn't watch it because I did this thing for Johnny Vegas, which sounded exactly the same but not as good.
Oh, so, really? Oh,
yeah,
well.
Yeah.
Well, it's just great. But then there's a commentary with Seinfeld watching. It's like sitting in a room watching a TV show with him blabbing on about it. It's great. Loved it. But anyway. I get embarrassed when I ramble on.
It's enthusiasm. Your enthusiasm has embarrassed you. Are you enthusiastic about this David Kitt album you've put into my hands?
Yeah, this is. You know, I don't know. I think you're probably the same as me in terms of buying records or getting records, and I'm almost compulsively buying records. And every time I go into a record shop, I can't just buy one. I have to get 2 or 3. And, you know, you just get disappointed so often. So I bought that in one of those kind of sprees. And it just had that lovely thing of about 3, after about 3 times I realised this is one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard.
Which one do you want then?
I think it's called Another Love Song.
Number 4.
Yeah.
Alright. This is David Kitt from Small Moments and Another Love Song.
I can't pass the day without thinking.
Hello. That was Mum, and this is Mum. This is Matt Lucas has just come in the door.
Hello.
of Resonance FM. That was Mum from Iceland, one of Graham's choices, and that was I'm 9 Today. From their first album, I think. Yesterday was dramatic, today is okay. And before that, a little extract of the surrealist poet William Apollinaire, whose grave you can go and see in Père Lachaise Cemetery in Paris, which I did the other week, so that's why I played that. And before that, David Kitt, and Graham was excited about pointing out that you can hear his younger brother, who's 10, on backing harmonies in that.
Who he brings out with him live because he knows that any moment now his voice is going to break, and he's not going to be able to to do it anymore.
It's a terrible thing. That happened to Ali Jones as well. There's a whole documentary about that on television.
Yes, absolutely.
The point at which
there's a much greater fall for Ali Jones
for Ali Jones than for David Kitt's brother.
For David Kitt's brother.
It happened to Charlotte Church as well.
It will do eventually, yeah. Actually, come on the mic, Matt.
Sorry, it's great.
Come on the Matt, Mike.
I've monopolised.
No, don't worry.
It's not. You know.
I'm very well, thank you, Matt.
I haven't
Lucas.
seen you with a beard before.
Oh yeah, no. For the benefit of radio fans, you might be wondering what I look like. Stuart, I know it didn't really describe me. Yeah, I've got a beard.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, sorry. I forgot we were working the medium of sound. So we've got two men in here.
You don't have to describe what people look like.
We've got the comedy writer and director Graham Linehan, who's tall, slightly hunched, with a beard. Slightly stooping hunchman with a beard.
There's nothing I can do about it.
And the small, bold comedy performer and writer, Matt Lucas.
Matt Lucas, yeah.
He's got a hat on. And Graham's sister's here as well, but she's not speaking, because the thin line that divides celebrity and the public means that even though David Kitt's brother can be talked about at length, Graham Linehan's sister, who's about to go to America to see Graham's brother, who was in the Navy, is not allowed to
The American Navy.
The American Navy?
Yeah.
Why did he do that?
There
He's
was
Irish.
Yeah, but there was some kind of thing he could study or something in the American Navy and get an education in this subject for free. So we've got a picture of him at home with an American Navy uniform and an American flag in the background. One of those.
I applied to join the army yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah, for a laugh.
Did you?
Yeah, and I wasn't going to. I don't normally do this. I'm not like some prankster. But I was watching GMTV yesterday morning and I was a bit hungover. And there was a sniffer dog on it. And it had won an award for smelling out the most bombs in Iraq, this dog. And I was just laughing at the report because it rolled over while whatever the GMTV presenter was talking to was like stroking. You can see its penis and everything. And I just made me laugh thinking about sniffer dogs. So I wrote to the army. I found the army careers office online. And I wrote to them and I said, I am a 35-year-old man at something of a career's crossroads. I've been considering becoming a jazz saxophonist, but this morning I saw a sniffer dog on GMTV. Lately I've developed tinnitus, as a result of which my sense of smell has increased in compensation. Many people have commented on it. Would you ever consider having a sniffer man who could sniff out bombs and that? I was in Army Cadets as a teenager and am familiar with the Lee Enfield rifle. I would prepare to travel and have a driving licence with 3 speeding endorsements. And within an hour, the bloke had replied from the Army office and explained that at 35, I was too old to join the Army. The top age limit was 31 years and 9 months. And anyway, even if I had been young enough, I would only have been allowed to apply for jobs in administration or health. But he wished me luck with my continuing career search. And then I felt really embarrassed, like I just wasted a man's time in an office who'd done his best to reply as politely as possible, which is actually the best response to some idiot sending you a time-wasting email, isn't it?
You're a burgeoning Mark Thomas, aren't you?
Yeah, well, who knows what my next target's going to be.
But you say you're not a time waster, but I remember years ago you wrote to James Whale, amongst others, to try and get him on board your campaign for the legalisation of heterosexual sodomy.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
And I wrote to a lot of people. It was the campaign for legalisation of anal sex for heterosexuals.
Yeah.
And I imagined it was something you could do, Clash, you see. And I imagined you could do, we were going to have a rally and we wanted all different celebrities to appear at it. And most people wouldn't do it, or wrote, actually Nicholas Parsons wrote a very good letter saying why there was no need. He said, in drawing attention to the fact that this is illegal, well, just because it was then, will just cause problems, so ignore it. But James Whale, Woodrow Wyatt, who subsequently died, said it seemed like a first-class way to spread AIDS. And, which I don't know if he thought that was good or bad, but James Whale said that he would speak at the rally for the campaign for legalised anal sex for heterosexuals for his normal fee of £1,000. And Gary,
see, I would have done it for 500.
And Gary Glitter's agent said that this was a while ago. Remember, about '93, said that under no circumstances were we to even mention that we had written to him. Or he would take legal action against us. Because it was because his name was rhyming slang, and he would be good patron for the.
I see. Yes, of course.
Well, he's at the Cambodian law courts now. Will be facing off.
Now his name is rhyming slang and mud.
Anyway, enough of my craziness.
You didn't mention my jumper.
I know, yeah. Matt Luke is in a jumper. A red
Being very
jumper.
demanding about
Looks like
you
a Christmas pudding.
Yeah. My mum bought this jumper for me for Hanukkah, which is the Jewish Christmas.
Are you Jewish as well?
I am,
You've
yeah.
got all the bases covered.
I've got a lot, haven't I?
Yeah.
Poor me. I'm monopolising Graham's time.
Well, Graham's time
I'm kind of done.
blends into your time. I guess
Yes.
I'll just
We're
ask you one other
segueing.
question.
Yeah.
Because it's the Christmas show and we've been playing Christmas records before you came in. You wrote Father Ted with Alf Matthews. Do you believe in that Jesus was literally born at Christmas?
Oh no.
No.
No. It's one of the many errors I think are probably in the Bible.
The Cherry Tree Carol, for whatever reason, which we'll play later, says he was born on the 5th of January.
Yeah, it's very hard to be accurate.
That would be an
I'll tell you,
ecumenical man.
I'm surprised you actually chose that example and not, for instance, him being able to walk on water, which strikes me as more of a likely error. Since it's impossible.
It seems to like that whole series. Even though you didn't really get any flack for religious for talking.
We didn't want to do that. I'm not a. We thought it would be the easiest thing in the world to really go on the attack and to do lots of jokes about paedophilia and all that sort of stuff. So we just thought we wanted to keep it light and keep it silly and to be honest with you, it actually, without our meaning to, had a worse effect.
How?
Well, because it kind of trivialised the Catholic Church.
What was that? I remember what was this kind of assumption that wasn't there an episode where Dougal is surprised that the others really believe it.
He
thinks it's just a story.
Yeah, but even that is not as bad as the fact that every priest who walks down the street in Ireland now, people shout Father Ted after him. and if it's this kind of stupid priest, they call him Father Dougal. So it's like, you see, we really did think there's three kinds of priests you usually see, and see three types. And now whenever a priest is walking around and almost fits one of the categories, he gets labelled with that. So they got a really bad time because of us. and it had. We even saw. We saw a newspaper report that said that because of scandals and the trivialisation of the church and Father Ted, entries to seminaries had gone down in 1 year, right, from something like 3,000 to none. To 0. 1 year, there were 0 entries. People wanting to become priests. So, it's funny, by just tickling people under the arm, you can actually sometimes really...
Well, I mean, that's
destroy a religion.
Destroy religion.
Well, if you kind of aggressively go after something, people kind of go, oh, what's his problem?
Yeah.
But when something's just treats something as if it's silly, it's actually much more undermining, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That thing you're talking about, priests getting Father Ted shouted at them in the street. I mean, you're lucky because your face isn't uniquely associated with the thing. But are you getting this, Matt, now from Little Britain being on for 3 weeks of people shouting, oh, do that wheelchair bloke at you and stuff like that?
Yeah. Although the thing most people shout at me is, never mind the buzzcocks.
Yeah, which you're not on.
Which I've not been on. I'm not Mark Lamar, but that's so people think, oh, Mark Lamar's shrunk. He's put on weight. All his hair's gone. Poor bloke. I was just thinking about what Graham was saying. I played a few characters in this cartoon series that was called Pope Town. It's going to be called Holy Smoke for the BBC.
Oh yeah, that's got in trouble, hasn't it?
Yeah, and it hasn't been on yet. I think they've even had to put it back, but it's had something like 80,000 signatures of complaint on it.
But if he's organised, what was that about?
Almost as many as the petition that the Bee Gees got up against Graham Norton after he made that bad joke about mice.
Right.
That many thousands of internet signatures.
What was Pope Town supposed to be about then?
Oh, it's just a very silly programme featuring. It's a bit like Father's Day. It's not like Father's Day, but it's just featuring sort of. The Pope's just like a 7-year-old kid. Actually, it's very offensive. Actually,
now I think,
but it's set in the Vatican.
It's set in the Vatican, but it is really. I thought it was very innocuous because I was aware. Like I mean, I'm not Christian, but I didn't want to offend. Like I didn't really want to be involved in offending like that. But it didn't. It was really harmless.
But I completely disagree with the idea that you're not. You know, we were careful about joking about basic tenets of belief, like, for instance, transubstantiation.
Yeah.
Which is another thing.
That's hilarious, though,
Yeah.
let's face it.
I wouldn't put it in the show, but
Yeah.
it's a completely ridiculous idea. Sorry, actually, now you're going to get so many complaints just because you might want to cut that.
Is this live?
No, but it's going to be broadcast as live. There's no edits here.
all right, okay. Well, you know, that's my personal belief, and
It says on the
it
wall,
doesn't
actually, it says,
reflect
look,
the.
No airing of offensive opinions. It says there behind you.
You
and
know,
you've just said...
you know what these are written underneath. So I do know what they are, and I'm very sorry I didn't. I hope I haven't offended anyone, but
Anyone who literally
it's my
believes.
personal belief that that's not true. But the thing that I don't agree that I think you should be able to make fun of are the people. You know, the you know, no one alive is beyond comedy, you know, and they're just, you know, it's such an arrogant thing to think. It's not, you know, he's not. No one's above comedy.
It's just a very silly cartoon, and it's like.
Well, how come
Dark
there's
cardinals and nuns.
80,000 signatures and no one's seen it?
No, it's something to do with the internet. I think people
Yeah.
get mobilised that way. But it's just silly cardinals and nuns and a pope who sort of eats his own poo and things like that. I mean, it's actually just really juvenile and silly. And kind of, I think it's so ridiculous.
I'm actually a bit offended by that.
Oh, yeah?
No, only joking.
Look, man, look what it says there. No airing of offensive opinions.
Yes, you know what these are again.
Actually, it says that there no gratuitous swearing, and somebody last week played this record by a Welsh rapper. It was really funny, a guy from Newport, and every other word was a swear word, and then at the end he went, oh, I didn't know it was going to be like that. Oh, well.
Was
And
he
then
Welsh
it
rapper?
moved on.
Was he called LL Cool L?
Hey, you got it. You were fast in
I got
there.
it. Sorry, I interrupted you for
Hey,
that.
no, let's play a song or something, because I'll tell you what, it's Christmas, there's an Irish bloke in the studio, it's the Pogues.
There was Christmas.
That was Shirley and Dolly Collins again. That was the Cherry Tree Carol, the story of how Joseph is suspicious of Mary's pregnancy, but the baby Jesus shouts at him from inside her womb that he is God, the Son of God, and makes the cherry trees bend down to prove that point. A fantastic notion. And before that, I have a terrible feeling I meant to play the B-side of Lowell Coxhill's Christmas single, but I think played a bit of the A-side, which we played earlier. So, you know, that's a great thing about free improvised music like that. You can appreciate it twice in the space of 1 2-hour programme. And before that, it was the Pogues for Christmas and Irish Graham Linehan, who only likes Irish music.
I love that.
Matt Lucas from Little Britain. Now people might have seen that now because it's on terrestrial television.
It's on actual television, as I call it.
How did you get to make a thing for BBC Three on what looks like a normal telly budget?
Well, basically, people say, "Why did you choose to make it like that?" I mean, it wasn't our choice. I mean, that was the avenue open to us. But the show is
Well, it just doesn't look like cheap.
No. Well, it
Like
actually
those
has the
things.
budget of a normal. Bizarrely, the show has a bigger budget than it would do if it was made exclusively for BBC Two.
Oh, right.
And the show is half funded by BBC Three and half by BBC Two, so they both get to show it.
It's got mixed parentage.
Yeah. Kind of a mixed race show.
That's really great, though.
That metaphor doesn't work. Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, well, that's also down to Steve Benderlack, who directed the show, and he did things like he shot the opening credits on film and stuff like that. And of course, before then, the pilot was directed by the man who's sitting next to me, who also had a big part in the genesis of the show.
Wow.
And that's Mr. Graham Linehan.
Mr. Graham. There we go. So, are you happy with the way it's going and how it's being received? I don't think people have realised quite how good it is yet, actually, because I watched all of it on. Someone gave me DVDs, and I watched the whole thing in one go.
Oh no, did you?
It was really great.
Oh, thank you.
It was really good. I mean, it's like, I think it's, you know, I don't know. It's I'll tell you what's nice about it is it doesn't seem cynical or nasty, which is weird given that some of the characters superficially might appear like they are like that, and also it seems to have a real sort of generosity of spirit about it.
It's just we just tried to make it as silly as possible, and we kind of succeeded in doing that. I mean, you know, actually one of the things that Graham brought into the show was the idea of the Dennis Waterman character just being very small, and that whole visual element, you know, and that's like, that is not a biting satire of Dennis Waterman, and I mean, and I hope he wouldn't be offended. It is just silly.
It's more likely to be just confused.
Yeah.
Go, why have they made me small?
Yes, exactly.
I can't talk like that.
There's no recorded evidence of him being particularly small.
No,
There's not very much recorded evidence of him, full stop. He should be glad.
I'm sort of aware that people in playgrounds are beginning to do.
How are you aware that people in playgrounds...
Because I'm getting a lot of emails from people and a lot of sort of kind of mail from people, and
Right.
people are stopping me and saying, my kids in the school playground go, no, but yeah, but no, or, yeah, no,
Right.
things like that.
Given that you...
Kids are the canary in the coal mine of comedy, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I mean, that's a great. It's great that, because I remember there's always this sort of one assumption that, oh, you know, if kids like it can't be any good. But kids like most things that are any good in any genre first, because they've got spare time. They haven't got any money. They can't go out. Then they stay in, read books, and listen to the radio and find out about stuff. And then 3 years later, Mark Lawson discovers it. You know.
When I was 8, I did watch The Young Ones and 40 Towers and Blackhead and things like that. Much more than I would have watched Blue Peter.
Yeah.
And I think kids certainly were the ones watching Shooting Stars. I mean, they're the ones that recognise you on the tube, who don't call you Mark Lamar.
Well, what? So, will you get another crack at it?
Yeah. It has been recommissioned,
Oh, brilliant.
and then hopefully after that we'll do a big live show.
Yeah. Did you when
Many.
given
what?
Money.
Oh, money! I thought you said many.
Sorry,
money. Yeah,
I
hopefully
put
after
it on an
that.
evil voice.
Yeah.
he's been directing adverts behind people's back.
Well, I've been doing the voiceovers on them.
What?
Oh, it's disgusting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's vile. Look at our rosy, chubby faces.
Yet you still got a jumper that your mum gave you on.
Well, I thought I'd wear it because I knew it was a Christmas-themed show, and there's
what-
no
yeah,
other
for
time I'm
Christmas.
going to wear this. Sorry?
Did she give it you for Christmas?
Yeah, and also, I mean, let's be honest, having jumped up and down on television just as a baby, you know, there's not that much shame in wearing this.
You've got a low embarrassment threshold.
Exactly,
now.
yeah.
What? You know, you're really good at dressing up as women, right?
Yeah, I do that well.
But so is David Walliams now. Why didn't you? So you can both do it. Wouldn't it have been better to get? Because you could have had all the women's roles and he could have been the man. But now you've got a sketch where you're both women and stuff.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is...
Oh, I see. Well, David always says, oh, you should play the women, Matt, because you've got a fatter, more female face. I've got really, like, defined jaw structure and things like that. But I'm sorry, that won't wash with me. When we used to do Rock Profile, he'd go, well, I can't play Kylie because I've got a really hairy chest. I was like, well, Jerry isn't as fat as me.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. No, I just think it's fun, and I also think a lot of comedians don't do that. I mean, Harry Enfield, I can't remember playing many female characters.
No.
He did like the randy wobbly old ladies, but I can't remember him. And Vic and Bob just don't drag up at all. I mean, obviously the League of Gents do, but there's not many. There wasn't much of that on Big Train, was there? Men dragging up as women.
No, Arthur had a thing about it, actually. You know, the way sometimes you develop a prejudice, and Arthur's... That's why Arthur hated Kids in the Hall, the American comedy show, because he just didn't like it. But it was the type of thing that, I have to say, I hope Arthur doesn't mind me saying this, but it was the type of thing that when I was working with Arthur, I was like, no, I agree. And now that I'm not working with him, I'm like, well, no, I don't think that at all.
I just think how you do it. I mean, one of the things that I always notice from Steve Coogan is Steve Coogan doesn't get when he's doing Pauline Calves, he doesn't get laughs from the fact that it's a man playing a woman, and that's the thing that me and Dave always try to do, is not go, oh, do you get it? I mean, hopefully, if you got a funny woman doing Marjorie Dawes, it would still be funny.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's a guy doing it, and that's the type of way we want to do it.
You are
really.
a very convincing teenage girl, though.
Thank you very much. Yeah. But it's just brilliant makeup and costume,
right.
you know, because I'm actually a man.
Yeah. So what you're just saying though, Graham, about you had this thing about not dressing up as women. I think that's really good because everyone needs a manifesto.
Oh yeah, you need strictures.
And then eventually, 10 years later you can go, oh well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But like you gotta start off with something, and with a list of things that you you mustn't ever do, and then you can choose to do them later. But
Absolutely.
what I despair of is people that don't even start with that.
Yeah.
The Simpsons, like,
no
he has
rules,
rules.
man. This is going to be mad.
Well, one of the rules, like Matt Groening had in The Simpsons, was that because they happen to be cartoon characters, but they can't do things that real people can't do. So the very traditional thing of like Shaggy running off the end of a cliff and being suspended in midair with his legs spinning round for like a few seconds and then dropping down. I mean, in The Simpsons, if you do that, the characters will get horrible broken legs and things. They don't
feel really solid, and don't they? They kind of
they're
feel
kind of
breakable.
That's right, and that was something. So I mean, in Little Britain, we do have rules. Like all the sketches are contemporary; they're all set now. So there's no historical parodies. So like we wrote this historical sketch years ago that used to make us laugh. Like it was about like a Victorian guy inventing the soda stream. But we just couldn't do that. We couldn't put that in. We don't have characters facing the camera and talking. We don't, with the exception of the Dennis Waterman, we tend not to have impressions as well. So there are a few kind of rules that we do have.
In TED, we had the rule that you'd never see them working.
Oh, right. That you don't.
Yeah.
That's really great.
There's a couple of very, very odd exceptions, like you see the aftermath of when they work, and you see things like in Speed they have a mass, but it's on a moving altar, but generally we thought it would spoil the illusion if you saw them working. Because you think, well, Dougal obviously can't do that. How could he? So.
I never really. I mean, the rules that we have are not things we don't like. Oh, we don't like sketches facing the camera. It's just that's that show. So that's interesting. Because I mean, actually, there's a rich.
Well, Little Britain is a portrayal of Britain.
Yeah.
So,
So that's the other thing, we've had like American characters, oh great, and I thought I can't really do it, unless they were like a tourist who'd come over or something.
Well, that's the thing about it. I mean, it's a simple kind of bonding mechanism for the show to call it Little Britain, a journey around Britain, but it does, you do feel like you know where you are.
And when you break it, it kind of what's the word? It kind of shatters the illusion of what you're doing. It kind of for the sake of a gag or a character, you've lost something.
We kind of have this device because we've got a narrator and it's Tom Baker, and you kind of don't know quite whether he's mad, so he breaks it and it's gleeful. He says things like, in like episode 6 of the 8, he says something like, there's a sketch we do this character, Anthony Head plays the Prime Minister, and David plays one of his aides who's got a crush on him, and it's like a kind of crush that a first year has on a sort of sixth form prefect. It's sort of to do with power and status, and Anthony Head says something like, meanwhile Tom Baker says something like, meanwhile at number 10 Downing Street, the Prime Minister is having a meeting with one of his aides, and he says, actually it isn't really the Prime Minister, it's just that guy off Buffy.
It sort of makes sense.
Just go into the sketch.
It makes sense with Tom Baker.
It's just kind of come out of the middle of nowhere.
I did a radio show that he did voices for once, and he's such a larger than life character.
He's incredible.
He's a bit mad, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's a bit like
insane. Yeah.
He would say very inappropriate things. He's also one of those people, and all their showbiz anecdotes are basically end with them saying, and I said to Nicholas Parsons, blah blah blah, you're a C word, whatever. They're just like up to a tirade of swearing against some absurd person.
We auditioned him for Ted, and he came in.
The old priest.
For the old Jack.
No, I forget for who, but it was one of these things where you think, as soon as they leave the room, you think, what were you thinking? There, But he came in and and he did the audition, and then he left, and he paused at the door, and he said, "Who was that young man in before me?" And it was some other actor who was 50, and he said, "Oh, it was I don't know, Stephen or whatever, And he says, "Oh, I used to think life." He says, "Beautiful boy. I used to think life. I think life used to be far more interesting in the days before penicillin." and he left, and he closed the door as if that was really witty. And what the hell did that mean?
He self-funded and released a video of him interviewing himself. Have you ever seen that?
No.
It's called "Who on Earth Are You?"
Oh right, I've heard Who on Earth is Tom Baker.
And it's cut of like he obviously filmed all the questions, and he sits and like answers them from another part of the room. He's going, he's interviewing himself quite aggressively. As if he's quite hostile to his own self.
He told me that he was asked, because I was saying, why don't you do like theatre? You know, I haven't seen you. I saw you in 1980 doing Long John Silver at the Mermaid Theatre, but I haven't seen you in anything on stage since then. He goes, well, I was asked to be in the show Art. I had an offer. Please, would you be in it? And I said, well, I'm not just going to accept the offer. I want to go and meet the people myself. And he said that he went and had a meeting with the directors, even though he'd been offered the part. He went to meet them, and then after the meeting, they withdrew their offer.
Ah well, you shouldn't have done that. It would have been could have been in art for a while.
Yeah.
Let's play. Matt brought in a Christmas record.
Have we got 3 Doctor Who people in art?
In art would be good. Yeah. Well, we used to talk. Hello.
It's David Walliams.
I know I'm late. I'm sorry. Where would you like me to sit? I heard you talking about Tom Baker.
Go
We were.
there.
We used to say.
We'll tell you. We'll play a record
sorry.
while you
Play a
sit down.
record, and
This
we'll
is Lionel Bart's "Give Us a Kiss for Christmas."
Give us a kiss for Christmas.
That's the Fall from the 1979 live album to Tiles Turns, No Christmas for John Keats, during which you can hear Mark Smith telling the band to put a bit of effort into it, if you listen carefully. And before that, Lionel Bart, which Matt brought in.
Yeah, I brought in Lionel Bart. I brought in the late Lionel Bart here. That was Give Us a Kiss for Christmas from 1961, and that was on the B-side of the Where Is Love single that was released for Childline off the back of their 1994 Palladium production of Oliver.
And Lionel Bart, a recovering alcoholic in the late 80s and early 90s, of course, lived above the Thresher off licence on Churchfield Road, Acton.
Oh, that can't have been easy, can it?
No, it was hard. We used to live around there, and you'd sometimes see him, and he basically had to go past an off licence to get into his house every day. Which can't have been easy. Anyway, it was great. David Walliams is here as well, and Matt's comedy partner. It's all right. It's early, but basically the thing is, this normally is done later, but it's not. This is going out on Sunday lunchtime as live, but I'm recording it now because everyone's got stuff they've got to do. But the weird thing is, you're up for an award tonight, aren't you?
Wednesday night, yes.
Yeah, I know, but
By the time it goes out, we'll know that I've lost.
Yeah, I know. So basically, if I'd tried to do the pretense that this was going out live, it would have been really hard, because
I wouldn't have played along with it.
Because by Sunday you'll either be a winner or a loser.
Yeah, probably a loser, yeah.
What, who are you up against for Best Comedy Newcomer?
Charlie Chaplin.
Oh yeah.
And Arthur Askey before he lost his legs.
No, it's the 3 non-blondes.
Oh, they're great.
And
I think they're really good. I really like their face.
I didn't say anything.
No, you just made a face.
Mark Wootton.
Mark Wootton from
Who's he?
My New Best Friend.
What's that?
And Psychedelic.
Oh right.
Well, it's a comedy show, Stuart, that's on the on Channel 4. I haven't seen. You have the 4th channel.
Oh.
And it's about.
Channel Swore.
It's a kind of show where he dresses up as different people each week and it's like a game show and a reality show.
You have to pass him off as your best friend.
Oh right.
And he's very obnoxious.
Right. That sounds like a Channel 4 idea.
Yeah.
At the moment.
It's very good, actually. It's a very funny
It's
show.
good and bad, I think. One or two of them were just horrible.
But yeah, I think they were unpleasant. But then the 3 or 4, the other ones, I thought really hit the mark.
Yeah.
They were. I enjoyed
Not
it.
any of it.
I loved it.
You know, that's refreshing, you're honest. I had Kitson on the other week, Daniel Kitson, and he just spent an hour going on about all the people he hated in comedy.
Yeah,
Daniel, did he hate?
Huh?
Who does he hate?
Well, the people you'd expect him to hate, that it's reasonable to, but it just seemed... Peter Kay, mainly, he kept on about Peter Kay.
Oh really? What did he say about him?
He said, well, now it'd be me, he said... You'd have to ask him. I can't. Look, it says up there,
interested.
no airing of
Peter
offensive
Kay's
opinions.
hilarious, though, isn't he?
Yeah, but he was... anyway,
How was it more of a personal thing?
it was all sorts of things. He seemed to be in some despair about how he could maintain what he imagined was the essence of him in the face of his increasing popularity. But he had a plan to shake off all the people that liked him by doing a difficult, complicated story-based show, which he felt would shake off people that liked to go and see comedy and have a laugh and a drink.
Yeah, it's good to get rid of those people. I would say.
Well, because that was me. Because I went, is this Daniel Kitten's show?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Well, he's very successful. It was the most boring thing. Oh, sorry, that's terrible. That's going to sound terrible.
No, because you liked the show the year before.
No,
right?
you see, the thing is,
The other stuff.
You didn't see
I've
the
never
show.
seen his show.
No,
right.
I haven't seen him.
Chris
you see,
Morris.
yeah. I've seen him on telly.
And Chris Morris swears by him and said he's,
he's great.
One of the best nights you like, one of the best bits of comedy. And
Yeah,
it went.
like a Vegas. Or,
I've heard he's brilliant, and then people
Yeah.
said, "Oh no, but this show's a bit strange." So I thought, "Oh well, I'll wait till
I hate that.
he does comedy again."
Do you know what? I have to say though, Stuart, that's my big bugbear, is that kind of indie attitude. Do you know what I mean? That you know, if you're good at your job, if you're successful, if you're funny, whatever it is, it means you're doing something wrong. If you're popular, it means you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
It's an indie attitude, and it's absolutely, it drives me crazy.
It could be that you're doing something right. That's the amazing
yeah,
thing.
maybe, you know.
But I think what he felt, right, was that he wasn't bothered about that. He just felt that it was slipping beyond his control, and he was talking about, you know, he was going on about how much he loves Belle and Sebastian, and he wants to be the kind of comedy version of that, and you know, not have people that he wouldn't want to be friends with at his gigs, basically. But the problem is, if you advertise something in a public environment,
Yeah, you can't.
you're going to go. He was seriously talking at one point about giving them a little
Yeah.
test, you know, of
Well, I'll tell
questions that they had to answer before they went in.
I'll tell you something. It is a real test of his friends, because any of his friends who said that the show's good are lying to him because they're his friends. It's a very, you know, it's just not fair to.
We shouldn't do this when he's not here to
Oh
argue
God,
his
you know what?
case.
You're right, and I'm really sorry.
Earlier on, you
Yeah,
said you
it's
only
really horrible,
began
Graham.
directing
Yeah, can you
things
not
to.
cut any
I
of
don't know,
this?
Graham. You've changed.
No,
You're going to get this now, though.
I
You two
tell you
are
what,
going to get this.
can I say
same.
the only
we've already
the
got
only
that.
reason I'm going on about it was because I was so frustrated because I was really looking forward to it, and I thought, oh,
Because you love comedy.
I love comedy.
You're
And
lucky then, aren't you? Because you
yeah.
work in it. You get to meet lots of people
And
do
you
it.
know, in the same way that I don't like many bands who would be considered comedy bands. I don't like comedians when they attempt to become, you know, when they start writing poetry and stuff like that. That's to
Become rock and rollers.
yeah, or whatever it happens to be. I just think, you know, perfect your art.
Oh, so would you not? I mean, you like write film scripts and stuff now, and would you not ever think, oh, you might want to write a film that actually, as it turns out, becomes less about making people
I'm talking
laugh
about different switching from form to form.
Oh, right, not from.
Yeah, I mean,
Right,
like, you know,
okay.
if I had a good idea for something, I try and do it.
Right.
But, you know, and to be honest with you, it's unfair of me to say that about Daniel Kitson, because he was trying something new. But I do think it's dangerous to think I'm going to write a bit of comedy that's as good as beautiful as something that Belle and Sebastian do, or whatever it happens to be, because I think, you know. Well, I just don't think I think that leads to pretentiousness, you know.
Well, people are sort of people are, you know, ashamed, I suppose, and want to kind of. They're
I'm
a bit
ashamed.
ashamed of comedy.
Yes,
Yeah, and they want to.
people are ashamed of things they're able to do
Yeah.
without effort. You
Yeah.
know? But that's just because
Oh,
you
I think people
just
take
because
their-
you can do it without effort doesn't mean it's.
I think people take their gifts. They don't respect their own gifts.
Yeah.
Because you think, well, I can do that. Well, that's easy. So I'm going to do this. You know, Robin Williams. You know,
Yeah.
can do funny voices, but wants to grow a beard and win an Oscar,
I
doesn't
know,
he?
it's not. He's terrible, isn't he, and things like that. Let's have a go at him as well now. Robin Williams.
Robin Williams
Well, you
plus
know-
beard equals Oscar.
Well, it also equals I'm not going to go and see that film, because it'll be him crying in it at some point, and you know, and it'll just be.
Yeah, but what they do in Robin Williams films is, even when he's doing the really serious thing, they still put in a little bit that's obviously for the trailer, like in Dead Poets Society, where he's like,
John Wayne.
Yeah, they still got that little bit. What if John Wayne played Hamlet? Is this a dagger I see before me, or whatever it was? I can't remember what he did.
And he does
But
that in
just for the
Insomnia
trailer
as well.
Does he? Yeah.
Insomnia, he has a bit where, you know, even though he's a killer, he does lots of sort of crazy voices.
That's how trailers
No, he
work,
doesn't.
though. Are the trailers for your show that have been made without your permission?
Oh yeah.
Of course. course, yeah.
And do they not? I haven't seen any of them. I've watched the show and seen the trailers. Do they not just pull out loads of things which, out of context, make it look worse than it is?
Well, the strange thing is that the trailer that we have a character that David plays, who's Emily Howard, who's a rubbish transvestite,
Yeah.
who's like that, you know, protests too much and
Yeah.
keeps going, I'm a lady, and sorry, I don't do it as well as David, but
Instead, let him do the voice.
Go on, you do it, David.
I'm a lady.
Okay, so, but in the trailer they have him, this character getting chatted up by a guy in a pub. Now, when you just see the trailer, you take it on face value. You think, oh, that is a man, but he's playing a lady. That's a female character because you haven't seen the setup.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of really strange, isn't it? That sketch.
Yeah, I don't know what you can do with trailers and stuff.
You just got to hope people see the show and like it and tell their friends. Really, that's about all you can do.
Well,
One of my big things is I hate, you know, diddly eye things.
Yeah.
All that type.
Diddly eye?
Yeah, you know, Irish kind of diddly eye. You know,
right.
Jolly.
Well, why are you dressed as a leprechaun now?
Well, we did black
It's
books.
Christmas.
we did black books, and I thought, oh, it's going to be about, you know, someone kind of like me and like Dylan,
Yeah.
Irish guy living in London, and saw the trailer for it. You know, this Irish music, traditional Irish music backdrop to it, and
Yeah, but you are going into Riverdance.
That's true, but only for you know, the 6-week run.
When EastEnders started, on they got the cover of Radio Times, and it was a picture of all the EastEnders, and the headline said, "The EastEnders are here, ... and they're lovely." And the creators of EastEnders went mad, and they got the Radio Times pulped and reprinted.
Didn't they?
Do you know
Yeah,
actually that
impressive.
EastEnders are very protective of their brand, and you notice you don't get things like EastEnders calendars or mugs or anything like that, and it's really strange because they could really coin it, but they choose not to. They're very protective of the brand.
Because Coronation Street, you can buy
You can
everything
get
now,
anything.
can't
But
you?
what EastEnders calendar, they'd sell millions, wouldn't they?
David is in EastEnders on Christmas Day.
Oh, that's a good
Are you?
segue.
What
Yes.
as?
As Alfie Moon's friend Ray, who gets raped into performing his
I
marriage.
thought you said he
ceremony.
gets raped. Yeah, you said he gets roped into.
You're too well spoken sometimes.
His friend Ray, who is raped in the Queen Bit in front of all the EastEnders.
Don't give it away.
No, yeah, I'm
Because
in.
Wilmot Brown did that. I mean, I wouldn't have
I'm
put it
in
past
2
him.
episodes on Christmas Day. Yeah.
Wow, brilliant.
And I
That's
get
brilliant.
the Duffers.
But you're
You know what a Duff Duffer is?
no.
He's not listening to everything.
Well, I don't know what EastEnders is. Don't watch it. I know what it is.
It's a show on BBC One.
It's a soap opera about people living in the East End of London.
Ah, yes, I've heard of them.
But he gets a Duff Duffer, which
What
is
is a Duff Duffer?
A Duffer is when you say your line at the end of the show. Like my line is, "Has anybody got any reason why these two can't be joined together in matrimony?"
Oh, right.
Are you familiar with that?
I am now.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And if you're up for newcomer tonight, how does that feel after a decade of respected work in
A
the business?
decade of failure.
Well, you know, everyone's always thought you were great.
Well, maybe not, but I don't know. I think I'll still be younger than Rob Brydon when he won his.
And younger than Angus Deaton.
And
when
Angus
he won
Deaton.
his.
Yeah.
I don't know. I suppose I'm new to the public. I think they probably know who I am anyway. I don't really care. I'm just anything. I'll just take anything I'm given. Do you know what I mean? I'm not bothered.
Is it the case that those awards, who votes for
I think
those?
it's better to at least be nominated for Best Newcomer than like have never been nominated for it. Do you know what I mean?
Which I was never nominated.
What's your age
So I
now?
realised I wasn't quite good enough when I did George Tours to be nominated, and now I'm too well known.
What's your
for being
age
not
now,
quite good
David?
enough.
My age now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was. Hang on. What was I? 5 years ago. I'm 32.
Because a lot of them get younger, I notice.
What?
Ronnie Ancona used to be older than me, and now she's younger than me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so either she's done something that defies the laws of physics.
I think she has.
Yeah.
But have you ever done, you know when you do interviews, they go, how old are you? You go 29. And they just print that you're 31.
Yeah, I'm normally 34 in papers.
It's very odd. They ask you how old you are, and then they don't print that age. It's really weird. I don't know why that
I think they
happens.
just like to get a few things wrong to wind you up.
Let's play a piece of music.
No,
before,
let's stay
Can I
in
just say
mode.
one thing
Yeah.
on that? Why we're talking about that is that someone rang from the Telegraph yesterday to interview me, and they said to me, "So, you've just got your show on. What does it feel like to have slogged for so long without having any recognition?" That was the question, because I saw you in Edinburgh years ago. It's taken you years to get on telly. I was really like that. I was really shocked to be quite so insulted in the first question.
This
Anyway,
is,
can you play some nice music?
Yeah,
Not that
not
horrible
that-
thing.
This is
Got it.
Victoria
Rap
Williams, and with her funny voice, Have Yourself a Merry
Well,
Little
if it's
Christmas.
not nice, we're taking it off.
You're listening to Resonance 104.4 FM. I'm Stewart Lee on Single Parent One Way Family Favourites. Next week, Pete Sargent's on, and then in January, David Quantick's back. And then I'll be back again on a 3-week loop. Do you see? Next after this is...
Fascinating. I'm sure everyone's making a note of that.
Next after this is Calling All Pensioners with Harry Howard, Pensioners' Rights Activists Programme. And we've got about 3 minutes now to speak, and then there'll be more music, and then the programme will end.
Can I say that Graham has said a lot, and I think we should really just talk about
so.
our show now.
Well, I had a very quick idea that we could use a bit of the time for Graham to apologise.
Too much!
I was first introduced to David in that show.
No, you should apologise to Daniel. You're very worried, aren't you, for what you've said, so maybe on air you could...
No, because, that makes it worse.
Okay.
I should just shut up.
Can you ask some questions about us and how great we are?
I've been doing that and to Matt, and then you came, but I was just saying
sorry,
I think it is really good. I watched it all.
What are your favourite bits of it?
I like the man who pretends to be disabled in a wheelchair.
Oh, you think that's funny, do you?
I felt heartbroken and moved by the scene where you, David, are a man that fancies an old woman, Granny, and there's a bit where everyone's having dinner in the flat, and after a long pause, the mum says, "There's more peas if anyone wants them," and it made me think like every family meal I've ever been at.
Well, it's also you're being asked that, and you've just put about one spoonful of food in your mouth as well. There's a couple of lines like that I remember being very pleased with because they feel very real.
There's more peas,
one
more
is
carrots.
that, and there's a bit where Sir Bernard Chumley says he's going to make some tea, and he says it's just PG, I'm afraid. And
It's got cut.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh. But I love that kind of line because it's when we write something, I think, God, that's exactly how people speak.
Yeah.
I'm very, very happy with it.
My mum says, "What do you want to drink?" And I go, "Have you got lemonade?" "Yeah, I've got lemonade. I've got Coke. I've got orange squash." I go, "Oh, the lemonade will be fine. I've got apple juice. I've got strawberry juice. I've got
Strawberry juice.
some wine, get some milk. I don't know, the lemonade will be fine. I've got water. I've got slimline tonic water." And she just goes on with like a lot of the things, and that if we ever did that would feel quite real. we don't do it in the show, so I don't know why.
Imagine if you did.
Yeah, but the show is on Monday nights at 10 p.m. on BBC Two, and if you haven't bought your Christmas present yet, why don't you go and buy the Little Britain CD, which is a compilation of both radio series.
We did two series on Radio 4 before we transferred to the big time.
So you can buy the CD in the shops and give it to people you love for Christmas. If you really love them, that is.
Actually, if I'd known about that, I'd have said. And we could have played a bit, and then you could have gone, "Yes, do you know, I remember when I wrote that."
I remember when I wrote this.
So that is, how many left on the telly before it stops now?
There are 6 left.
Right.
We did 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done. That's 25%
You did
more.
about 10 Richard and Judy's, didn't you? In each series, so yours is better than ours. Did you used to dress up as women? You were talking about that.
I only dressed up as a woman once.
But what, on screen?
Yeah.
What was that?
I dressed up as Judy Finnegan for
you did, didn't you, for the title sequence? That's right, with the big earrings. And
funny, I probably look more like her now as I get older and put on more weight. Well,
we're going on a show on Monday, so we're not going to say anything.
Ask Richard Madeley afterwards about when he saw a man having sex with a donkey. See if you can get him to tell you about that.
What?
So if you can get him to tell you about that. And on that bombshell, we're going to have to go now. Thank you, Graham Linehan, for coming in.
We'll ask on air, I think.
And Graham's sister is here, but she's been quiet. She's going off to America, to a Navy base or something. No, anyway, she's going to join the Navy in America. And
I'd quite like to come with her.
David Walliams and Matt Lucas, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is Giant Sam's Christmas single, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
If all the days of the year were something more